In the woods, Rachel opens her eyes, waking up from her dream as she hears the birds chirping. "Good morning," Brenda says to her. Later, Rachel and Brenda were walking in the woods together. "I'm jealous you got to go to Niagara Falls," Rachel says, making small talk. "It wasn't so great. It's like watching a really large faucet turned on," Brenda replies back. "I would be amazed to see a faucet turned on after these last few months," Rachel says. "Huh, you're right," Brenda says, laughing. "I would kill to live in a real house again," Brenda says. "I miss using my phone and watching videos," Rachel agrees, saying she would love a shower and a clean bed to sleep in. "Yeah, who needs salvation from the dead? God, please give us showers and beds again," Brenda says. Rachel is silent, and Brenda asks what's wrong. "Do you think salvation is possible for us in this world?" Rachel asks. Brenda stops walking and turns to Rachel as she continues. "You know, when I'm dreaming, I try to do everything I can to stay in them, because I'm afraid to wake up. Sometimes dreams are where I'm able to escape from everything, just for one moment. Honestly, I feel like my dreams are my salvation from this world," she says. Brenda is awestruck. "Wow, that's deep," she states. Rachel decides to change the subject. "Come on, I saw this berry patch on my way here. Maybe we can find some edible ones," Rachel says. As they come back carrying some berries, Brenda talks to her. "So, what's your family like?" she asks. Rachel turns to her, talking. "My mother used to work hard, so hard she didn't notice her kids were growing up right in front of her. I have 3 brothers and a sister. Rebecca is serious and shy. Tyler is really energetic. He loved to play with us when we were little. Then there's my other brothers. Damien is always angry. He takes everything seriously. He tries to keep us safe, but doesn't know how. And Philip is shy, but only talks to Damien," she says. "And your father?" she asks. "My father wasn't really someone I looked up to. He would discipline us frequently, even when we didn't do anything," she says. "He hit you?" she asks. "Not me as much as my brothers and my mother. I always did whatever he said and wouldn't speak unless spoken to. I was grateful for what I had. Not everyone had a family, so I consider myself lucky," she says. "That's not true," Brenda says, worried. "But then I realized that maybe some families are worse than not even having one," Rachel says, saddened. "It depends which members of your family treated you poorly," Brenda stated. "My brothers, I always have to listen to them, and if I don't, Damien gets mad," Rachel says, scared, holding her eye. Brenda holds her friend. "Listen to me. You're safe from him. Damien isn't going to hurt you. You are free from him." "I know, but I can't just leave my sister and Tyler. I love them too. They're my family. What should I do?" she begs in tears. Brenda tries to reassure. "We'll go ask my parents. They'll..." Suddenly, they hear a gunshot. They quickly run back to the camp, panicking, hearing another gunshot go off. "Mom! Dad!" Brenda screams. As Rachel and Brenda arrive at the campsite, droplets of blood on the ground. They see a man pointing a gun at her parents. Her father was bleeding from the chest, and her mother had a gunshot in the back. He aims the gun at her again, when Rachel steps in front of him. "Damien, stop! You don't have to shoot her!" Rachel shouts. Brenda is shocked at this. "You lied to me. All this time you were just using me!" she screamed. "No, I wasn't, I swear!" Rachel begs. "Liar!" Brenda shouts as she grabs onto her. Damien fires his gun, nearly hitting her, as Brenda quickly tries to run. Damien charges after her, raising his gun until Rachel grabs him, stopping him. "Damien, stop! Don't!" she begs. until she feels a hard elbow hitting her in the face, forcing her down to the ground. Damien stands there. She got away, Damien says angrily, turning around. He suddenly sees his sister, Rachel, lying on the ground, bleeding from her nose, clenching her nose in pain. Oh God, Rachel, I didn't mean to, he says, holding his sister. I just wasn't thinking. Thought you were in danger and I panicked, he says like a different person. Why did you kill him? She asks, upset. I thought they took you. I couldn't let that happen. I won't let anyone take you away from me, he says convincingly. In the present, we see Rachel rubbing her head as she lies on a bed. She looks at a journal with a list of all the residents of Nest. How are they going to make it to winter? There were 40 names on the paper. She takes her pen and points it at some of the names. She wrote Benjamin and her name next to each other. I hope we think of something soon, she says to herself. Suddenly, a loud gunshot goes off, then multiple gunshots. She quickly gets up startled, but leaves her handgun given to her by Benjamin. As she looks out the window, seeing nothing, she decides to go outside and hears Merle barking. So she brings him inside her house. She closes the door behind her and goes running to where she hears the loud gunshots. As Rachel looks on, she notices the front gate open, hearing walkers growling too. She covers her ears and notices Sean, Tyler, and some others were shooting at walkers outside the gates. Rachel was surprised, noticing Victor there too. Benjamin watched as they shoot at the oncoming walkers. He kept his gun ready in case they got too close, watching their backs. She noticed that Tyler was doing fairly well with his shots, but he was too reckless and too eager in his shooting, not preserving his ammo like Sean was doing. Tyler screamed in triumph as he took down 2 more. That's 10! Good job, Tyler, but don't lose focus. There's a lot more coming, Benjamin shouts. He turns to see Rachel. He smiles warmly at her. Hi, Rachel. Want to practice? He asked. Why didn't anyone tell me drills were today? She asked. Don't you remember? I told you I was going this morning, Victor says, confused. Yeah, we were all there, Jay states with May next to him. Rachel gets embarrassed as everyone looks at her. I'm sorry. I guess I've just been out of sorts lately. It's fine. Do you want to try too? Benjamin asked her. Sure, Rachel says, going towards them. But oh, darn, I left my gun in the house, she says, annoyed. Benjamin confidently walks toward her. I have a spare, he says, handing one to her. She thanks him. Careful, make sure to check if there's a round in the chamber, always, he says, pulling the gun out and clicking it. As Rachel begins to aim it, Benjamin watches her, smiling. She aims her gun and begins taking out several walkers. A total natural. You go, sis, Tyler shouts. Rachel takes the gun and continues to shoot at the walkers with the others as Benjamin watches, smiling at her success. Victor ran out of ammo, so he stopped shooting and notices Benjamin watching her. One day later, we see a montage of Benjamin training and exercising in his garage. He does a series of push-ups, pull-ups, and punches against his personal punching bag. Benjamin continues to exercise as hours go by on his personal clock on the desk. He fails to notice John slowly walk to his door. I see you're busy. What'd the punching bag ever do to you? Try to kill you? John asks. Benjamin continues punching. That's because I still had an extra arm last year. I'm too old for that, John states. Come on, John. You're not old. You're 42, Benjamin says. I'm partially 60 with this thing on me, John says, lifting his arm, showing his prosthetic. Why don't you try with someone else, he asks. There is no one else. I'm not sparring with the boys or any of the girls. Come on, John, Benjamin pleads. John thinks for a little bit, remembering what Hannah said. You know, why the heck not? John says, taking the blade off his prosthetic arm. Aren't you going to take the rest of it off? Benjamin asks. Nope, John says. I need an advantage, he says, worrying Benjamin. The thing's made of metal, he says. Well, don't get hit by it then. You scared? John asks, smiling. Never. Then let's go, John says, swiping at Benjamin's head. He quickly ducks under it and kicks John in the leg. John drops down, grunting. Nice hit. Right in my blind side, John says, as Benjamin gives him a moment to get up. John tries to go for another hit, but pulls his punch midway, confusing Benjamin. Benjamin then sees John's legs going for him, but Benjamin jumps over John's leg, kicking him in the chest, knocking him back. As Benjamin lands down, he then sees John launching his prosthetic right for him, hitting Benjamin in the leg with it. Benjamin feels the hard metal crashing against his leg, jumping away at the sudden pain delivered to his left leg. Benjamin grunts as he retreats his leg and keeps himself from falling down. Benjamin and John continue the fight. "You taught me everything you knew, John, but you didn't teach me everything I know," Benjamin says as he ducks a hit before wrapping John's arm in a lock. He quickly kicked the back of John's leg and slammed him down as he fell to the mat, with Benjamin still holding his arm. John grunts at his loss. "Thanks, John," Benjamin says, offering his hand. "Yeah, I get to get my butt kicked by you. You know, one day you're going to fight someone you can't win against," John says. "Well, it's not going to be you," Benjamin says, teasing him. John pats Benjamin's shoulder. "You've come a long way from the shy kid when we first found you," John says proudly. "You couldn't even take on that last walker," John stated. "Yeah, because I took out like 20 before you and Carla finally got there," Benjamin says in defense. "And no one likes a sore loser," John says, patting him in the back. The two men continue to laugh as they leave the garage together. Another day later, Benjamin and the others are talking about the food situation in the pantry. Benjamin mentions how they have a month's worth of food left. Rachel asks why they never started farming, and Benjamin says that they should have done it last year. Benjamin tells them that he's going on another supply run for food soon. As Rachel leaves the meeting, she goes home and notices Tyler is nowhere to be seen. She goes to his bedroom and sees a note on the door. "Rachel, I'm staying over at Sean's house. See ya." She decides to check on her sister. She goes to her door and sees that it's locked. She knocks on it, calling her sister, but after a minute, she doesn't open the door. "Rebecca, you there?" Rachel asks, panicked. With still no answer, Rachel tries to force the door open and slams her arm into it. She cringes in total pain at the stupid and quick decision she made. She needed muscle, or something else. She quickly went into the kitchen and got a knife and stuck it in the door opening. Using all her strength, she pulled it open, seeing her sister wearing headphones. Rebecca panics as she removes them. "What the heck are you doing?" she asks. Rachel ignores her attitude. "I was worried. You weren't answering. Please don't lock the door and wear headphones like that. I really don't want to go through that again," Rachel says. Rebecca sighs. "Okay, fine. Can you close the door on your way out?" she asks. Rachel notices a serious tone in her voice, and she doesn't like it one bit. "Rebecca, we need to talk," she says. "There's nothing to talk about," Rebecca says. "Everything's fine," she replies coolly. "See, that right there, telling me that instead of what to talk about proves to me we really need to talk. Rebecca, you have been so cold and distant lately. Why won't you tell me what's going on?" Rachel begs. "You have no idea. Are you really that dumb?" Rebecca asks. "You don't talk to me like that. I'm your older sister. Why are you so angry with me? What did I do?" Rebecca shouts. "What did you do? How about forgiving that psychopath for what he did last year and letting him into our house?" she shouts. "Are you talking about Benjamin?" she asks. But Rebecca leaves before she finishes. "I can't listen to this now," she says, trying to leave. "Yes, you will," Rachel orders, grabbing her arm. "No, I don't," she says in defiance. "What are you going to do? Hit me?" Rebecca asks. Rachel looks shocked at the question. "I didn't think so," she says, leaving her sister in complete shock. In the camp, Brandon sits with some younger kids on one of the picnic tables. Everyone was a little happier now that they had a few days of mourning their dead, and not to mention, it was lunchtime, one of the 3 favorite times a day for everyone. Peter and his wife walked by Brandon, setting 3 plates down, handing him one. "Thank you. So do you guys think we're safe now?" he asked. After they eat, Brandon goes to Peter and asks if they're really going to forget what they saw in the trailer. Suddenly, Xavier walks towards them. "Peter, Brandon, can we speak to you?" he asks. Brandon and Peter are nervous. Brandon reaches for his hidden gun, but Peter covers it, putting his hand on Brandon's shoulder. "Of course, sir," Peter says. As they walk with the 2 brothers, Brandon sees the trailer home. "I trust you 2 haven't told anyone about what you saw the other night?" Xavier asks. "Of course, sir. We haven't told anyone. The kids and the women don't need to know about this," Peter says. "I'm glad to hear you say that, Peter. You 2 are valuable members of my community. I decided it was time to give you more responsibility, and with that comes knowledge. What we do, Talia and the kids, and everyone else can't know. If they knew what we had to do to survive, they would leave. They would see us as the monsters we're fighting, and I'm not losing my family, no matter what. We need to exterminate these Vikings, or whatever they call themselves. The reason we didn't have this conversation days ago was because we had to get these," he states, pointing at some boxes. Brandon looks in complete surprise as Chase takes one. "This will help us kill all those bastards, once and for all. Each of you try one on." Benjamin, Rachel, Victor, his brother Jace, and Ayumi arrive at a parking lot. As they enter the large grocery store by themselves, Victor goes to his brother. "Hey Jace, can we talk?" he asks sincerely. "Sure, what's on your mind, bro?" he asks his little brother. "Well, it's just that I've noticed Rachel's been hanging around Benjamin more these last couple of days. And well," he says uncertain. Jace interrupts him. "So you're getting jealous?" he asks. "What? No, of course not. It's just that after movie night, she's been harder to figure out." "What should I do?" he asks. "I told you, whatever her and Benjamin had before we came can't be undone," he says. "Jace, come on, I really need your help. Some real advice here," he begs. "Look, bro, all I'm saying is don't try too hard, because she might think you're overbearing. But ask her if you 2 can hang out more," he replies back. Victor thanks his brother. "But remember, you should prepare yourself for the chance that she just isn't the right girl for you." "I hate to see you get heartbroken," Jace says sincerely. The group enters the back of the store. Benjamin notices Rachel and Victor walk together as everyone raises their guns and flashlights. Victor looks around, and May talks to Benjamin. "So you were in school when everything happened?" she asks. "Yeah, I was a college freshman. I went to the University of Kentucky," he replies back. "That's cool. What did you take?" she asks. Benjamin looks towards her. "I took writing, chemistry, calculus." "Aren't those classes really hard?" she asks. "Not really. I did pretty well in them," he states. "What'd you make?" she asks. "I only made straight A's," he says, surprising her at how bored he said it. As they look around the shelves and containers, Rachel talks with Victor. "So, I heard you were in the academy before the apocalypse?" Rachel asks. Victor looks happy. "Yeah, I was in the academy a few months when everything fell. I left the academy, everyone I made friends with, to make sure my family was okay," he replies back. "And then what happened? Did you guys go from place to place until we found you?" she asks. "Yeah, we went from place to place. Me, Dad, Jace kept May and my mom safe from the dead. But then things got bad. We lost my cousin to some bad people who were desperate for food," he says, a little sad. "I'm so sorry, Victor." She gives her condolences. "People are the real danger in this world now, not the dead, you know," he asks. Rachel then thinks back to Damien, to Benjamin, the look of rage in both their eyes, the blood, the screaming. Yeah, I know that all too well, she says quietly. But don't worry, I'll keep you safe, whatever happens, Victor says, making Rachel smile. We should keep searching, she says, a little embarrassed. Victor agrees and finds some kid snacks on a shelf and offers it to her. She thanks him, taking it. Do you like kids? I mean, I'm only asking because we're both older siblings, you know, he says, a little nervous. Yeah, I love kids. Sometimes I feel like I practically raised my siblings, she says. Victor nods, agreeing with her. Yeah, as the middle child in my family, I wasn't the top of the food chain like Jace, and I wasn't spoiled like Princess May. Oh, come on, she's not that bad, Rachel defends. Oh, how about this? Rachel says, raising her flashlight. Victor looks and sees a high shelf full of cans and water jugs. Nice find. Hey, everyone, over here, he shouts. Vic, not so loud. Benjamin runs over when a walker appears from the back of the shelf as the two more come from the small office. Victor raises a gun and shoots it. One of them, but one is covered in a soapy liquid, and he struggles with it. It's soapy, and decayed flesh tear off. Rachel pushes the walker off of her. The walker is knocked into one of the shelf supports when one of them breaks a screw and begins sliding. Rachel! Benjamin screams and in half a second grabs her and pushes her away as the shelf collapses on top of him. Ben? Oh my God! May screams as Ayumi runs with her. Rachel tries to get up. She turns around and sees Benjamin's head as he's buried under supplies. Rachel is beyond scared and cries out to him as Victor lifts her up. Rachel, move! He shouts, pulling her away from several walkers who are coming from the store. Rachel breaks free from Victor's grip and runs to Benjamin. As the walker runs to her, she quickly stabs it in the head, killing it, and runs to Benjamin. Help me get him out! She screams. Ayumi stands there, terrified, and aims her gun, frantically shooting and missing the walkers, as Victor and May pull out their guns, with Jace running to Benjamin. Benjamin begins to wake up and grunts in pain, coughing. Oh, thank God, you're okay, she says, relieved. Benjamin tries to say something, but they can't understand him. What? What are you trying to say? He asks. Behind you, he says, pointing his gun. He fires it, killing a walker behind them, as Benjamin wrenches in pain, unable to get out. Jace and May quickly grab the bars. We lift, you pull, he says. Rachel nods and helps pull Benjamin out of the mess as he claws his way out. Victor suddenly runs out of ammo. We have to go, now, he shouts. Rachel, watch out! Before she could react, a walker tries to bite her in the neck, but sinks his teeth into Benjamin's jacket. May stabs the walker in the head. Are you okay? She asks Benjamin. There's no time! Go now! He shouts back. Ayumi opens the back door as more walkers start to come in the back. Everyone, come on! She shouts. Rachel helps shoulder Benjamin out of the building as Jace runs ahead. I'll get the car! As May takes a walkie. I'll tell Ayumi to prep the infirmary. He could have broken ribs, she states. They all quickly pack into the car as Victor notices a herd of at least 100 walkers coming from the store towards them. Victor, I said hand me the first aid kit, Rachel screams. Oh, right, sorry, But Rachel takes it before he could finish, as she opens it as Benjamin continues to lay in pain. They all drive away from the herd as a person is seen with binoculars watching them from on top of the roof. Back at Nest, Rachel goes into the infirmary. We see Hannah is giving Benjamin some medicine as Sean sits with him. Hannah tells Sean to keep an eye out for Benjamin as he looks around. He then notices her. Rachel comes in. Hi, Sean. Hannah, will it be alright if I talk with Benjamin for a couple of minutes? She asks. I guess so. Come on, Sean. Let's get you something to eat, she says. Okay, Sean replies back as they leave Benjamin alone with her. She sits next to Benjamin in the infirmary, noticing all the bandages under his shirt and on his body. How are you feeling? She asks. Sorry, that's probably a dumb question to ask, considering. I'm alright. Don't worry about me. I've had worse, Benjamin says, reassuring her. Rachel is unconvinced. I can't help not worrying. You wouldn't have been hurt if I was only careful. I'm sorry, she says. Benjamin turns towards Rachel, facing her. Rachel, you don't really have to apologize to me. You did nothing wrong. I would do it again, 1,000 times. I saved you because I wanted to. The injury I took was my consequence, not yours, he affirms. Rachel thanks him and places her hand on his shoulder, which surprises him. She removes it, looking nervous, with a slight cough. So, do you remember when you asked me if I was okay in the pantry? Of course, he says. Well, things have been bad lately. Rebecca and I have been arguing a lot, she states. Was it about me? He asks, surprising Rachel. Because of what happened last year? When your brothers died? He asks. I don't know, Rachel says, hiding the truth. Benjamin notices it, but doesn't say anything, not wanting to push it. I'm really worried about her. She's always tired, doesn't laugh or smile anymore. She's never been like this before. I feel like she's moving away from us, she says, saddened. I'm gonna talk with Hannah. We're gonna help her. She's good at talking with kids. She helped Sean last year with his trauma, he says. Rachel appreciates the offer. Thank you, Benjamin. She moves closer and gives him a big hug. Benjamin grunts. She apologizes for getting his sore ribs. Hey, how about tomorrow night you come to my house for a movie? My treat, she asks. I'll be there, Benjamin says, smiling. She smiles back and leaves, letting him rest. In the morning, Benjamin watches as Carla sits in the driver's side with Jace and Ayumi in the car. You should be in the infirmary, Carla states. Yeah, well, I wanted to make sure you guys were ready and had everything you needed, he says. Don't worry, we'll be back, she says. And I wanted to say goodbye. You're coming back in the morning, right? He asks, concerned. Yes, Dad. I'll be back in time to do the chores, she says sarcastically. Benjamin cringes at the insult. I feel sorry for the walkers out there, he states. Why? She asks. Because they're gonna have to listen to your lame jokes for the next day, Benjamin retorts. Carla smiles as Benjamin watches. Andrew, open the gate for them. Good luck, he says. As they drive away, Benjamin looks around the woods. He helps Andrew close the gate, shutting it, but grunts in pain, clenching his ribs. They were still sore. In the infirmary, Hannah talks with Rebecca about her trauma. Rebecca asks Hannah to swear she'll never tell Benjamin. She promises her, but asks her if she is afraid of Benjamin. Rebecca says that she is. Hannah tells Rebecca that she doesn't have to be, and that he cares for her. Rebecca mentions that at night she keeps thinking about the night her brothers died, how the blood spilled from their bodies. Rebecca says that it was Benjamin's fault that happened, and she wishes he can just leave her family alone forever. Rebecca, did you love your brothers? She asks. Not really, Rebecca confesses. I guess I'm just scared Benjamin will snap at me. That he'll hurt me, she says, scared. Hannah speaks up. Rebecca, I promise you, Benjamin will never hurt you, she says. How do you know? He's killed 50 people. Does everyone here just ignore that? She asks, terrified. Meanwhile, John goes to Hannah. How is she feeling? He asks. She's so scared, John. I've never seen it before. I'm trying to help this poor girl, but I don't know if I can, she says. You can, John affirms. You're a great doctor. A doctor's not a miracle worker, John. We both know that, she states. Anyways, we should have known this would have happened eventually. We've been here for 2 years, and I feel like if the walkers don't tear us to shreds, we'll do it ourselves, she replies back. John looks concerned. What do you mean? It's people. Human nature, we can't have a repeat of last year. I don't think the community would survive it, she says, concerned. At night, Benjamin puts on a nice white shirt with black jeans as he heads to Rachel's house. Maybe this can change things between them. At Rachel's house, she sets up movie night when Rebecca looks angry and storms off into her room, where she notices Tyler looking through a book. What are you doing? She asks defensively. Is this what you really think of us? Tyler asks, angry. Rachel hears them arguing. What's going on? She asks. Tyler screams. You are so ungrateful! You think Benjamin is a monster? Did you forget he protected us from Damien? He shouts. Rachel tries to stand between them, but is having trouble keeping them apart. How dare you look through my diary, Tyler? How could you? She shouts back. I had to. You've been so distant these last couple of months, and I had to. And now I know why. You're such a stupid brat who doesn't see that Damien was a monster, he screams. I know he was, but Benjamin is just as bad, and you guys act like he's one of us, she shouts. Tyler gets angrier. He should have let you die that night. Suddenly, the girls become silent. Rebecca begins to cry and shoves past Rachel. Rebecca, wait! He didn't mean it! She tries to say before Rebecca opens and slams the door. Rachel looks towards her brother in disappointment. Go to your room and wait for me while I get her, she says with assertiveness in her voice. Tyler obeys and goes as Rachel rubs her head as stress gets to her. Outside in the neighborhood, May is walking around when Rachel accidentally bumps into her. Oh God, I'm sorry, May says nervously. I'm looking for Rebecca. Have you seen her? She asks, panicked. Benjamin is walking to Rachel's house when he notices Andrew, who is on night patrol. Benjamin decides to have a quick chat and walks to him. Hi, Andrew. Can I ask you something? He says. Sure. What's on your mind? Andrew replies back. Can I ask how you and Grace got together? Sure. But why are you interested? He asks. Benjamin gives a vague answer. I think I could learn something from your experiences, he says. Well, we were actually partners at work. Grace and I both worked at the Weekly Wakes. It was a broadsheet newspaper company in the city. When she started working there, I wanted to ask her out, but my manager had a strict rule against dating in the workplace, he states. So, what did you do? Benjamin asks, curious. Simple. I quit, he says, surprising Benjamin. You quit? Wow. Benjamin says, surprised. You did it for her. That's right. I wanted to be with her more than I wanted a job, he states. That's amazing, Benjamin says. Although, I bet it wasn't easy to find another job, he says. It wasn't, but I decided to not let anything keep me from being with the person I love. That I would do anything for her, he states. You think anyone's gonna quit their job these days for their significant other? He asks. Andrew smiles. You really like her, don't you? Benjamin is surprised by the question. Relax, your secret's safe with me. Honestly, it's not that hard to see, he says. Andrew continues, when suddenly Benjamin hears barking. It was from Merle. Benjamin turns around, and way in the distance, he sees Rebecca running towards a bench and sits down, crying. Who's that? Andrew asks. I think it's Rebecca, Benjamin answers back. Why is she crying? Andrew asks. I don't know, Benjamin says. Wait here. As Benjamin walks towards a crying Rebecca, he suddenly hears footsteps. He stops and becomes startled, and quickly turns around. Andrew! Andrew is grabbed by a large man. Benjamin has no time to react as he sees the man plunging his knife into his chest and slices the knife through his body and spill his guts out. Andrew collapses in pain, falling over in agony as he slowly drops dead. Benjamin is shocked and aims his gun when Rebecca screams. Turning around, he sees a man is swiping a knife at her. Benjamin turns all the way around and fires his suppressed gun, killing the man. Rebecca, run now! Go home! He shouts. She quickly runs away, terrified. Before he knew it, Benjamin was knocked to the ground. A large boot is placed on Benjamin's head as he sees Rebecca running to her house. The man stomps on his head as his arm is grabbed and yanked forcibly back, nearly dislocating him. As Benjamin grunts in pain, he then sees a devastating and horrifying sight. 100 people with knives and bows all over, walking past him. The large man talks to his people. Take everything here. Kill everyone you can find. Benjamin screams as the man presses his boot harder on his head.